Hello and welcome to Time Tunnel, where we find out what was making news in the past. I'm Karen Travers in Washington, and today we travel back to this day in 1976. Here are the headlines.
From New York, this is the ABC Weekend News. Here now, Fahey Flynn.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Jimmy Carter took his campaign for the presidency to California during the day, one of the Democrats' battleground states. And Carter launched a strongly worded attack on what he called President Ford's failure to stop the spread of nuclear weapons. ABC's Bill Wardham reports.
It was a plain-speaking and definitely unfuzzy Jimmy Carter in San Diego this morning. He sobered his audience by pinpointing what he called the government's dangerous do-nothing attitude towards safeguarding nuclear weapons and materials. He proposed a succinct 11-point program to correct the problem, and he frequently attacked President Ford for lack of leadership.
This is just one, although a very important one, example of a complete and total absence of leadership that presently exists in Washington. Other nations look to us with the strength of our nation, militarily, politically, economically, and particularly in the nuclear field.
The emphasis from now on will be the contrast between Carter and Ford. Carter will paint his opponent as a distant, ineffective president, while he, Carter, as a caring man of the people.
The difference between the two candidates that's most apparent, and was most apparent in the debates, is a difference between two men, one of whom has learned about unemployment and inflation and the problems that the average people face by talking to those people. The other one has learned about these problems by reading reports, talking to staffers like me, and has no feel, no understanding for what it means to be unemployed.
Another lesson learned recently will cut Carter's schedule, giving him more rest, gambling less exposure against a sharper, more appealing candidate who, it is hoped, will make fewer embarrassing slips. Bill Wardham, ABC News, with the Carter campaign in California.
The New York Times reports in its Sunday editions that the Watergate prosecutor is looking into charges that Gerald Ford siphoned off money from his congressional campaign funds. The investigation reportedly involves contributions made by two maritime unions, money allegedly laundered through Republican committees and paid to Mr. Ford between 1964 and 1974. When told about this latest investigation into Mr. Ford's finances, Press Secretary Ron Nessen said he's had no official word that the special prosecutor is investigating the president. Mr. Ford campaigned in the South during the day and vowed he would not concede a single state to Jimmy Carter. ABC's Tom Gerald reports.
Encouraged by some favorable polls and saying they think momentum is with them, President Ford and his campaign used the power of steam and the root of the mighty Mississippi River to seek votes deep in the heart of Jimmy Carter country. The President and First Lady chartered a 280-foot paddle wheeler and spent several hours aboard looking over the old-time steam-driven ship and stopping several times along the way to say the Ford campaign is ready to challenge Carter deep in Dixie.
I promised that I would campaign from the snowy banks of Minnesota to the sandy plains of the state of Georgia. I'm in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida to prove that we can win on November 2nd.
The Mississippi cruise wound up in New Orleans. During 3 days in 4 southern states, the Ford political effort will spend about $100,000 advertising their product, the candidate of the Republican Party. Tom Gerald, ABC News, with the Ford campaign in Louisiana.
And what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear